guys, welcome back to the Niele podcast. It's me, Shania.
And Ray-Ray, and today we are here with our uncle, Prince. Woo, we're so happy to have him on today's show, so let's see how this goes, because this is going to be crazy. There's a lot of questions and a lot of answers, hopefully. Tell us about yourself. What's your name, age, occupation?
Prince Tupe. I'm 36, and
Gee.
yeah, and I work in the food industry.
Nice. So where do you live right now?
I live in Little Valley in St. George.
So in the Tupe brothers order, where do you fall?
I'm second to the youngest.
Perfect.
And we just had him on the show, so I'm glad everybody knows.
So if you want, go back to last week and listen to last week's episode.
Where were you born?
I was born in American Samoa.
Were you a child when you were in Samoa, or like, did you move to Hawaii at like when was that transition?
Yeah, we moved to Hawaii when I was about 5 years old.
And you went to school there?
I went to school in Hawaii. Yep. So yeah, I was only in Samoa for a little bit of my childhood, which don't remember much of. I just played outside and hung out with the village kids, I guess.
Is Prince a nickname? And where did it come from? Or is that? Were you born with that name? Like, did they give you that name? Or
For the longest I've known, that was the name that I've always been called. Now there is a funny story to it. When I first came into the family, everybody protected me like I was the king or the prince, I guess. So maybe that's where the nickname came from. But as long as I've been alive, I've known that's my name.
what is your like birth name then?
Joseph Patello. Yeah, sounds like Hispanic or something.
So is your story coming into the family like the same as Renzo's, where Grandpa just picked you up and brought you? Or
No,
do you know?
So I was told the story of how I came into the family. My biological mother was actually I wouldn't say, she was kind of like a housekeeper for Grandma and Grandpa. So she was there from Western Samoa, helping out with chores, cooking dinner, laundry, cleaning up the house, and she became pregnant. And I'm number 6 in her kids lineup. But she became pregnant, wasn't able to take care of me, and so Grandma and Grandpa said, yeah, we'd love to have him.
Do you like?
So that was from
contact?
birth, obviously.
Oh.
She gave birth, and Grandma and Grandpa took over. So
Have you ever had contact with them?
with my biological mother, no.
Like, what about your siblings? Well,
Yeah,
siblings.
yeah, yes. One of them actually lived a house that was right next to our house in Samoa, and which is Grandpa's niece. So he was actually adopted to their family. So growing up, we were playing, during 1 years old to 5 years old, we'd play together, but we never knew we were brothers.
Until later.
That's so crazy.
Until 2006 is when I found out I was adopted.
Oh, that was gonna be my next question. How did that go? Wait, how old were you?
I was a senior in high school.
Whoa!
And so, this is when I moved back home from Hawaii and was a senior in high school. And just one day at school, someone said, oh my gosh, you're so-and-so's brother. And I'm like, no, we're friends, we grew up, and then more people kept coming to me in high school and goes, hey, man, we know you, we heard a lot about you. And I'm like, no, I've never grown up here, yeah, my dad's pretty popular here in Samoa, but they're like, no, you're so-and-so's brother. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know.
None of my brothers have that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. So, it's funny because we were all just hanging out too. He was still there, and one night we went to Grandpa's office, and I finally said, okay, why do people keep saying that I'm so-and-so's brother? And I remember Grandma saying, okay, we need to go downstairs to the kitchen, because in Grandpa's office there was And upstairs, and then there's a whole like lounging area downstairs in the office. So we went down there, and that's when the news broke and said, "Yeah, you actually are. He's actually your brother, and this is the story of your mom living with us." But yeah, everyone's telling the truth, and that is your brother, and you have like 6 other siblings, and so yeah, it was in like 2006 when I found out.
Wow, how did you feel? Like how, if you can remember?
I didn't feel anything, just because obviously I hadn't met them, my biological mother. I haven't met any of my other siblings, and so there was no feeling other than these are the only parents I know. So there wasn't like any feeling of, oh well, I want to meet them, I want to go search for them and go back with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like, oh, okay, cool, I have another brother, and cool, kind of thing.
I feel like it's also you were so old when you found out that it's like
you're so used to what
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no feeling of like, okay, I got another brother, let's move on. Like, I don't know, there's no time to go back and kind of recap everything and try and catch up with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, plus I was getting ready to graduate high school, and you know, I'm sure other people would have taken it different, but I had other siblings here in the States to think about too. So, and going through the, like, growing up, learning about the adoption process and everything, and you know, a lot of them don't go and search for their biological parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Why would you? You've had these parents to raise you, so.
Dang.
That's so
But it was shocking. It was, and so going back to school or whatever, they'd come up to me like, yeah, so are you? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. And they're like, you look just like him. I was like, I guess I do, yeah. You know, there wasn't really like, oh, cool, yeah, and show off and whatever, because apparently he was a great football player and very popular, I guess. So, and nobody wanted to mess with him. He was like, I don't know, the king of the grounds, I guess. There. So.
And we're back. Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
And ready to continue. You went to elementary school in Samoa, some, or all in Hawaii. Elementary, middle, high school until your senior year.
No, we actually moved to Utah when I was like 7.
And then
the rest of your schooling was in Utah?
In Utah. Yeah.
Oh.
So we only lived in Hawaii for a couple years, and then we moved to Utah.
And you went to Bonneville?
I went to Roosevelt, I think it was called back in the day, then T.H. Bell, and then Bonneville. And then I moved to Hawaii and then I moved back to Hawaii with Uncle Tila. And I went to Honoka'a for 1 year, my junior year. And then I moved to Samoa for my senior year.
Whoa, what? Do you remember anything about school in Utah?
I do.
Your schooling in Utah?
I do, yeah. I would get expelled when I was at Roosevelt High School.
No way.
A lot. And Grandma would have to pick me up.
Wait, for what?
I was just gonna say, wait, we're not gonna skip over.
We're not just gonna drop a bomb in this.
No, so yeah, I'd get a phone call home to be picked up just for getting into fights and.
Oh.
Elementary school.
In elementary school, yeah. And I do remember it wasn't just Grandma that used to pick me up. It used to be Uncle Limini, Uncle Dorian, Uncle Jay would come pick me up too. And it sucked when they picked me up because, like, when Grandma picked me up, it was like just, a little lecture here and there. But like when the older siblings picked me up, it was not fun. I would either get smacked around or like told I was gonna get taken to the what do you call it? The detention centers where they all work.
Oh yeah.
And
So we're gonna take you.
so every time they would like threaten me with that, and like in all the stories they would tell me, I never wanted to go to any of those places, but they would always threaten me to go there. So then T.H. Bell, don't remember much about that because it kind of just flew by. Probably one of the worst schools that I went to.
Ooh, hot take.
So I did sports there, and we literally lived right up the street in the old house that was Veen and Monique's house.
Oh yeah.
The first house, and yeah, I don't have any memories from Teachbell other than just playing sports and walking home.
What sports did you play?
I did track and football.
Oh.
Football.
I was gonna say, oh, track.
Well, I didn't run. It was the track and field part.
Why did you say field?
I was just in the field.
Yeah, I was just in the field. I did the field events. No running included. Yeah, I mean, other than that, there wasn't much that I remember from THBL.
Do you remember what your favorite subject was?
Home economics, where they cooked food and stuff. And sewing. We did sewing, but it was about the food.
He said, but
and following the recipes. But
what about Bonneville? Do you remember?
yeah, I went to Bonneville for 1 year. Did track and football there as well. I don't remember going to class at all, to be honest. Not my fault. You know, I had a older brother that went there and was like the governor, so when I came into Bonneville, it was like, yeah, when I came into Bonneville, it was like I could get away with anything, and so I did. I took advantage of that. I think the thing that I remember most about Bonneville, that's how I got my driver's license. And I didn't take one class to get my driver's license. I didn't pay one fee to get my driver's license.
Whoa.
So I guess I cheated my way through Bonneville because I didn't do a thing. I went to a couple classes and I passed and did sports, and my coach was actually the driver's ed teacher, and he walked up to me one day and just gave me my permit already signed and everything, and I said, oh cool, do I not need to drive? He's like, no, you're good, just be at practice. And I was like, wait. Didn't do any driving, so me learning how to drive was moving Uncle Jay's car every now and then when someone had to leave at the Riverdale house, which had a declining driveway. So that's how I learned how to drive, is Uncle Jay's black Honda.
Bro, Uncle Jay always asks people to move his car.
Yeah.
I think that's how everybody learns.
Well, and it's because he always wants to park up close, or the closest. So when people come and park behind him, and
he's like,
he gets all mad.
Yeah. And he usually leaves early, so can you move your car? So, but that's how I learned how to drive. And I would steal the car and drive around the block to the Germans.
oh,
My bestie.
So, but that's how I learned how to drive. But that was my memories from Bonneville. Like I said, it probably went by quick too, because I didn't go to class at all, but I passed. And that's where I got my driver's license without paying anything or taking any classes.
I had to pay to get my driver's license, but I didn't pay for classes or anything
Yeah.
either. I waited till I was 18 though, so.
The instructor literally used the brake on mine, and I still got my driver's license.
Yeah, I remember they had to do the driving test like in that little parking lot. I was like, that sucks to do them.
Speaking of the Germans, were they your best friends, would you say? Or like, who would you say was your best friend?
I didn't really
during
consider
that
them friends. I consider them like a second family. As I feel like I was always, if the siblings or grandma or grandpa were searching for me, they would know where to go. It was either drive away or just call the Germans, and I was there. So I wouldn't say they were my best friends. I consider them more like my second home.
Do you still keep in contact with them?
I do keep in contact. Every time I'm up there, we wanted to get together and do something, so.
Okay, fun fact for those of you that don't know. When I was growing up, years and years and years later, I grew up with the brothers that he grew up with, little sister. Like, we were best friends. I used to go to her house all the time, too. Which is insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, and she was like 3 years old back then. The annoying one.
She was annoying.
Yeah, she was very annoying.
She was the odd one.
But We dealt with her because I was always there.
And then what was it like when you went for your senior year?
When I went back home to Samoa for my senior year, I had like 2 classes, and so I was pretty much teacher's aides for the other 4 periods or whatever. I already had all my credits from Honoka'a High School, so I didn't really have to take any classes when I went back home.
When you were in Hawaii going to school there, like, did you have to like play catch up on a lot of classes for missing so much at Bonneville?
Yes, I did.
Ooh.
But we're also known at Honoka'a as well, so when I got there, they're like, "Oh, hey, we got a Tupe," and obviously Uncle Limini, Uncle Jay went there. Big stars, right? And so,
Big stars. Jeez.
obviously I didn't live up to that name when I played football, but I got away with a few things when I was there too. And so, again, they pretty much paved the road for whoever else, any other Tupe that came there, just like Bonneville. So, I kind of had it easy at Honoka'a as well. And I had Uncle Tiwa, who was like the governor of Honoka'a and Waimea, so I had it easy in Hawaii as well. Didn't get in any fights in Hawaii, and yeah, I skipped classes. I mean, who doesn't?
I didn't. Mom, if you're listening, I didn't.
But
No comment.
yeah, I actually enjoyed my time at Honoka'a. Football games are always crazy. The fans are crazy. And then you had Uncle Tiwa on the sideline with me. He wasn't a coach, but he was right there.
It was right here in my ear.
Yeah, right here in my ear. So, but I enjoyed my time there. It was a bit of a drive from Waimea, but Uncle Tiwa let me take his car.
Whoa!
So, yeah.
Special privileges.
Yeah.
Special privileges.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't favoritism. It was, well, Uncle, I need the car because I have to go to seminary at 5 in the morning. And then there's not enough time to come home, so I just need to take the car. So Uncle Tio actually arranged his schedule so that I could take the car.
Oh. So what was it? Okay. What was it like living with Uncle T? You lived with Uncle Tiwa, guys, right? Everybody at the keep ahead of the house?
Yes, it was me, Uncle Randy, and Mama, and Niele.
Oh.
And of course, annoying Kainoa when
I know.
that smell. Kainoa, I'm sorry.
He's not sorry.
But yes, we all lived there, and I enjoyed my time there as well. And the reason why I moved to Hawaii was because Auntie Fina had just passed away in Utah a couple months prior to me moving to Hawaii. So yeah, I kind of up and left Bonneville and just made a decision to move to Hawaii to be with Uncle Tiwa. So I was in Hawaii for a year. So that was kind of the reason why I went to Hawaii.
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Because we talked about it when we were here, and then when Auntie Fina passed away, we all went to the funeral, and then we all came back, and then I was just talking to Kativa and Ray, and I said, well, I can come out there and just be with you guys, and just it wasn't working, so I can't say like be supportive financially, but just I guess being there for Ray because he was so young, and so that's what took me to Hawaii.
That's so crazy.
And then why did you move to Samoa after that?
Some things happened, and I just felt like it was time for me to go home and be with grandma and grandpa. So, but nothing major, just some indifferences and just I guess me making some decisions that some people didn't agree with, and so which is understandable. I was a junior in high school and just pretty much doing what high school kids do. And sometimes you are hard-headed and don't listen, and
Oh, I know that. We all know that.
you don't listen, and sometimes you just have to move on and learn a lesson. So, but it was not easy leaving. I guess I should say that it was not easy leaving. When someone counted on you to be there, and that person is Elray. Because that's why I moved there. It was to help him.
I think you helped him more than you think that you did.
Besties.
Yeah, seriously, you guys like this.
At moments when we were there, I would think maybe Uncle T would probably thought maybe it wasn't a good idea bringing him here, because me and Elray got into a lot of trouble.
Rascals.
We would do things that maybe people would have never done, and but it was hard leaving. But I think it took me leaving too for him to kind of grow up as well. So you can't be young and stupid for a long time. But yeah, when I moved to Samoa, we kept in contact, and but I'm sure he had it easy as well when he went to high school too. So
I can't even tell you how many of my friends that went to like Honoka at the same time as him are like, oh, he's just chilling. He's always just chilling.
Yeah, I'm sure he was, and when he played football, and Uncle T was right there too. So, but yeah, that's what took me to Samoa. So,
what was it like there? Senior year of high school, coming
very,
in?
very different. Yeah,
Did you know how to speak Samoan?
I knew no Samoan, other than like the main words of like talofa and goodbye and things like that. So going in there, like, thank goodness school was taught in English, or I would have probably never graduated. But it's different. You have to wear uniforms. So that was
What high school did you go to?
the Whaito High School, the Vikings. But like you have to wear uniforms all week, and then Friday you can wear whatever you want. So that was a big change because
there's no uniforms anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think there's any uniforms anywhere else. But they were very strict about it. So like, I don't know. It's just weird going to school and seeing everybody looking the same as you.
Relatable.
And then like the school setting was just, I don't know, it was different. Like the school's not very big, and so I feel like there's a lot more people in the classroom. Numbers are a lot bigger than they would be in your regular high school. But AC didn't work in the whole building, so like we were sweating to death. And when you're sweating to death, like you don't even want to do any schoolwork or be there. So definitely was not a priority to like get the ACs fixed. And then I remember half of my teachers they weren't white, they weren't black, they weren't Samoan, they were all like Indian.
What?
And so it was crazy. I mean, I'm like, we live in Samoa. We're teaching English. And the lady is from India. How does this make sense? And so my English class, her name was Shricha. That was her name. And I just couldn't get it through my head that she was teaching English and I couldn't understand a word she was saying. And like, maybe the rest of the kids understood because all they knew was like Samoan and stuff, and I knew English. I'm like, yeah, she's not saying that right. Or like her accent's so bad that it doesn't sound right. But it's okay. She's got a degree, right, to teach English, so I'm not gonna say anything. And then I don't know, the setting too. Like none of the kids there really took it serious. I want to say the only subject that they ever took serious there was like JROTC.
Oh.
Wow.
That was like the only thing that they were serious about, which makes sense because half of them come out here on
I was
military.
just gonna say a lot of people come.
So I could see why they concentrate on that a lot more. You're not gonna get a scholarship for English to come out here. Very different. And then Grandpa was like in charge of like school lunch, and so every time I go to lunch, they were like, all the lunch ladies would know me. So like when you're in line with people, and like I usually go with my friends, and so the lunch ladies would scoop my food like mountain high. And everybody else beside me were like, "Oh, of course, it's your dad." I said, I didn't tell them a thing. They just know, and so like I'm not gonna go tell on them if they give me less food. Like, that's stupid, but they do it anyway. So I'm not gonna say, "Oh no, take it back." So I they would always ask me to like go up and get food for them.
Oh.
Like, no, just go tell them you want more food. And like it was free lunch, like no one had to pay.
Like, so
Yeah,
just
and
ask.
just ask. I'm sure they have a lot of leftovers over that they don't need to take home. So I got I got special treatment going to lunch, breakfast. Like if I was late to school, like I would still go to the cafeteria and like they'd still have food for me, or they would like get stuff out to make me some food. So that was fun. Didn't have very many classes because I already had most of my credits, but didn't play any sports because I was over it. And they had to travel like 30 minutes for practice, so I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
They don't have a football field, and so they had to travel 30 minutes to a park that had enough space for them to practice. And then you'd have to find your own ride home. So, like the school wasn't, like the school wasn't like organized well to where it's like, okay, we have practice, everybody hop on the bus,
Right.
and then we're gonna bus you back. No, it was like everybody hop on someone's truck and go there, and then hopefully there's buses that are available on the way back, kind of thing. So it's kind of like get there on your own and get back on your own. And so I was like, yeah, no,
I'd rather just stay here on my own.
yeah, I'll just stay here.
What was like the graduation like ceremony like?
I didn't.
You didn't go?
No, because Grandpa got sick, and we actually left Samoa early for him to come here.
Oh.
And so I graduated 4 months early, and then they shipped me my graduation stuff.
What?
Like, cap and gown and everything?
Yeah.
Whoa.
They had a guy, I guess the football team flew to Vegas, and the guy brought everything, and then he shipped it from Vegas to St. George.
So like at that point in time you were allowed to keep your cap and gown.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Not now.
yeah, but
Not now.
yeah, I didn't really experience the whole graduation ceremony.
Do you wish that you would have?
Because I feel like a graduation's a big thing, right? And you guys have been through it. It's a big deal, and your family makes it a big deal. But I didn't get to experience that. Like I just got mine in a box. So I opened up the box, and there was my cap and gown and my diploma. And I said, "Congratulations" to myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Put myself up there.
Yeah, but I know I didn't get to experience it. I watched it on a Zoom or live that when it happened, and they called my name, but obviously I wasn't there. But yeah, I didn't experience a graduation ceremony or a graduation party or all that.
Oh.
But I don't regret it all because we came here for a reason.
And you came straight to St. George?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's high school in Samoa. I was the only kid that drove. I forgot to put that in there. I was the only kid that drove to school.
What car did you drive?
I drove Grandpa's old 1967 Ford F-150. It was a 3-seater, and so but you could fit about 80 people in the back. So it was it was weird because I hated it because when you pull up right in a car and you're the only one that is driving to school, everybody's like, "Oh, what a show off." No, it wasn't showing off. It was like the oldest truck that you could have.
It's not anything special.
I just had the
I'm not gonna walk.
I just had the opportunity to drive to school. And if I was driving to school in the States and that, I'd probably be considered poor. But yeah, I drove the truck, and obviously that's school buses that picked kids up, but there was about, I don't know, 20, 30 kids from our village that for the first month of school, like they caught the bus and everything, and then the whole last part of the school year, they were catching the gray truck. And no matter how late I was, I would pull up and go up the road, and there they were, waiting up at the road. Even if I was 30 minutes to an hour late, they'd still be up there.
If you're late, we're all late.
Yeah. But that's, I took everybody to school and I brought everybody home. Or I'd go drop people off in a whole different village because they needed to be home, and then I'd come back this way.
What a giver.
Yeah. So
at that point in time, how much was gas when you had to fill gas?
I think it was like $1 or $2.
Did you fill gas or?
But I never put.
I was like, did you fill gas or?
I didn't even own a wallet, so.
Did you fill gas or was it always just full?
Yeah, it was always full, and Grandma.
Gas was nothing.
Yeah, I would always just tell Grandma, you just take the truck. And she'd jump in and it'd be empty, and then she'd come back, it'd be full. So I don't remember putting gas ever, or anybody giving me gas money for taking them to school.
Wow.
I'd get paid in 50-cent sandwiches and 25-cent sodas.
What point of your life did Renzo come into the picture?
He came when I was still at Bonneville, I want to say. Or maybe it was TH Bell.
And how did that go, like, for you when you found out that he was your brother?
We still talk about it to this day when he's around. But the story of how Lorenzo came to America.
Coming to America.
And that's what we joke about. We're like, coming to America. It was me, Uncle Sini, and Uncle Misi, and Grandma. We went to the airport to pick up Grandpa on one of his work trips. And so he's walking out, and he's holding a baby. And our first initial thought was like, where did the lady need to go to the restroom? Like,
where'd you get this?
Are you just holding him for somebody that was on the plane? And we were all thinking that, like, Dad, why are you holding a baby? And then Grandpa's like, just grab the car seats and all the bags. And we're like, okay, well, maybe the lady's like somewhere in the restroom or doing something. We were all still so lost until like we finally put him in the car seat, and he was like, oh, he's ours. And we're like, what? What do you mean?
This Asian baby, what do you mean?
Even Grandma was like, what? No, you're kidding, right? Like, what's going on here? We talked on the phone, and there was no like,
there was no baby.
There was no like extra person coming. But that's how we found out, and then it got really serious when we were walking to the car. We're like, we kept like looking around for a lady. Like, where's this lady at? Come get your baby. But no, we're loading him into the car, and we're just like, holy crap! So is this lady coming home with us, or what? No, we got in the car, and we started leaving, and then Grandma just explained to us, whose biological son it was and things like that. And we're like, oh, okay, and you brought him with you? Like,
we're still confused.
Like things like that, there should be like some kind of warning so that we're prepared. Like
a phone call, maybe
phone call, or just saying there might be an extra baby coming with us. But no, that's how we found out. But I think like we were all shocked but like excited at the same time, because the last baby they had in the family was like me. So to have like a little brother who's like this Asian baby, we were all excited. So because nobody wanted to touch him when Grandpa got there at the airport. We're like, no, you carry him. Like, no, you carry. No, you grab him from Dad. And it was like we were all like standoffish because we didn't know who this baby was. But I think like as soon as we got home, then we started like arguing at who's gonna carry him. And that's how Lorenzo came into the family, and I think from that moment on, everybody just was fighting over to like carry him, to feed him, to sleep with him. I don't think he knows that, but he does now. He will now. You're an Asian baby that came on the plane. And we thought that
you're adopted.
Yeah,
did you know that?
We thought that like Dad and your guys' grandpa like lost it. We're like, you kidnapped a baby, or you have some lady's baby, and like they just left. So it was just that couple. It was just that hour at the airport. Everybody was like, "Yeah, no, you have him. No, I'm not carrying him.
I'm not gonna be an accomplice.
Yeah, I don't know whose baby that
As soon
is."
as they're gone from the airport, give him to me.
Yeah, as soon as we go home, oh, he's supposed to be here. Give him to me. I want to carry him. But he was this little Asian baby with freaking this whole patch of hair, like this comb over. But yeah,
What is the age difference between you and Uncle Nisi?
I don't even know how old he is.
It's there.
I mean, you're 36.
I'm
There's no way he's
36.
40. He's not 40, is he?
Yeah.
Whoa.
What? He is not 40. Well, we'll have to ask him.
Yeah. He
Sorry.
has to be. He has to be because he was like a senior in high school and I was at TH Bell, so yeah, he has to be like at least 40.
Wait, so when you went to Bonneville, he wasn't there?
He wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Thank
okay.
goodness. Because I would have been a nobody.
I would never
Yeah.
said it.
I would have been a nobody and it would have sucked.
Oh, I didn't know that you guys were like that far apart.
I mean,
Yeah,
I thought you guys were closer.
Either he's gonna be 40 or he already is.
He's gonna be 40. There's no way.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
maybe he's 39 or something. But he's getting there.
he's getting there.
I'll tell him you said that. What was your first job?
It was with the Jarmans.
Oh,
They thought we were so cool because we started our own landscaping business. These little 12-year-olds running. We had to have our trailer and equipment driven for us. And so we did like aerating. Had no idea what that was.
He's like, just push it.
They're like, you just push this machine and it pokes holes in the lawn. Like, why would it do that? It leaves like little poop things in the yard. So we had no understanding of landscaping, but we liked to go around and say, yeah, we have a landscaping business. We'll mow your lawn for you. We'll aerate. We'll move any rocks. And we got paid for it. And so this was like a summer job. That was my first like job where I earned money and stuff. And then when we got older, we were able to go work for the Jarman's dad, who owned a business in Clearfield. It's like a rental. They ran out equipment and stuff, and like tractors. But that was my first, job of like earning any money, which was pretty good money. I mean, when you're 12,
Man, you're
making anything.
Yeah. You're making
Anything is
anything.
good money.
And everybody that lives in Riverdale was like old people, so of course they're gonna pay
True.
top dollar to get their lawn aerated.
When did you decide that you didn't want to go on a mission? Or did you want to go on a mission, but you just didn't? Or
no, I
that
think
you didn't want to.
I don't think I ever had any intentions on going, but then like growing up with all the siblings that went on missions, like I always thought, oh, I have to go on one, or I'm gonna be a disappointment. But no, I think it was when I grew up in Hawaii where, when I was like with Tiva and them, that I figured that I didn't want to go on one. And the conversation that I had with Grandpa was, it's just not for me. I feel like I could do the same thing here. And Grandpa was like, okay. I thought I was gonna get this like, no, you're going on one, and you're not gonna disappoint this family. You're not gonna be a disgrace to this family. And no, he kind of said, that's your choice, and if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do.
Did anybody else have like a different reaction?
No, I don't think anybody did. I'm sure there's always like, I wonder why he didn't go, or he always wanted to go on one, and now he doesn't. But yeah, I didn't get any backlash from anybody, and I had another sibling that didn't go on one, so I just felt like, I don't know. I feel like it didn't make a difference if I went on one or not.
Right.
So, they love Dorian just as much as they love everybody else. And he's the one that didn't go on one either. And I feel like we have, and I'm not saying this because the other brothers don't have like that much love for each other, but I think me and Dorian have more love for our siblings than they know. And so I don't think the mission thing set me back in any way.
Did you go to college?
I did not.
Was that a choice or?
So we were living in Texas after this whole ordeal in St. George. We moved to Texas, and I got a job with the airlines. The plan was to go to college, and then I got into the airlines, and then I figured I don't want to go to college because I'm traveling, and I love my job, and so I didn't, and I never really liked school, so. Why?
Reaching to the choir.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I don't know, like I hated it when I went for 12 years. Why would I? If I have the chance to not go now, why would I choose to go?
Yep.
Now that doesn't mean that I didn't know that education was important. Like, it is important. Like, I mean, look at your grandpa and my dad. Like, he's got his doctor's degree and went to school all his life. Pretty much. So it's not like education wasn't important. It just, I got into a lifestyle where I was like, dang, I love my job. I'm not going to school. Because that's going to get in the way of me traveling and doing what I want.
What was like the position that you got for the airlines?
So I worked at the Texas A&M airport and just did ticket agent there for 3-4 years. But yeah, that's all I did was work and flew here to Utah. But college just kind of was in the backseat after that. And then I got thrown out of the car. So. But I always kept getting preached, like, you should go to college. You should go. Yeah. You can do the airport part-time. Go to Blinn College, which was a college, was a JUCO right next to Texas A&M. You should go there and take a few classes. I'm like, yeah, we'll see. Never had the urge to go that much to even pursue it. So,
what was Texas like for you?
I liked it. Obviously, it's huge, and
you guys lived in.
We lived in Bryan, Texas, which is like the next city over from College Station, where Texas A&M was. I don't know. It was kind of right out of high school and was not in school anymore. So it was kind of like my first adult life in a different state than I've ever known. Utah and Hawaii really were the only two states that I know. And so living in Texas was a little bit different. But when they say everything's bigger in Texas, it is. And we made the 26-hour drive out to Texas.
Everybody.
with a dog.
Oh yeah,
with
that's
King.
right.
And so 26 hours turned into like 33 hours. But we drove out there. Whitney and Uncle Misi were already out there, and Uncle Sini, they were out there I think they were out there for a year already when we moved out there. We didn't really go anywhere because everything was close by. Our work was close by. The college was close by, so it was work and looking forward to like Texas A&M home games, and that was pretty much it. And then flying back here to Utah.
You never like went out on the town?
No.
Like, did you make a lot of friends when you were there?
No, because all I did was work.
Oh.
So I mean, we had work friends and stuff, but no, we didn't really do anything. I didn't have my own car, so it wasn't like I could just leave and go out in the town. I still wasn't sure at that time if I wanted to get into like the bad stuff or if I wanted to be a good kid.
The bad stuff.
So I was like, I just started adulthood, right? So I didn't know, like, should I be like a rebel or should I like be this good kid? And so that was kind of how Texas was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Oh, okay. And then when did you move back to St. George? Or what was after Texas?
Ogden,
No,
Washington Terriers.
so after Texas, me, Uncle Sini, and Grandpa flew to Hawaii for Uncle Tiwa's wedding.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh.
I forgot about that.
So we flew there. We were there for 3 days, and I didn't come back to Texas.
Why?
I stayed in Hawaii with Uncle Tiwa. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It was one of those decisions
You
where
quit your job?
I sent my badge in from Hawaii,
Oh my god.
and they held my last check to pay for my fare because I used my benefits to get
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And then you can't do that, and so I don't know if I got fired or if I just quit. I don't know.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, probably a little bit of both, but I didn't come back. And Uncle Sini was very, very upset with me that I made a very adult decision to not come back to Texas. So I stayed in Hawaii for, I want to say, 6 months with Uncle Tiwa and Auntie Tammy.
What were you doing?
I wasn't doing anything really. Like I said, I came there with a carry-on, and I decided to stay. Uncle Sini and Grandpa flew back home, and yeah, I don't know why I stayed in Hawaii.
Was
To be
there
honest,
like were grandma and grandpa like you have to do this, or did they kind of just like let you make your own decisions?
like during my adult, like after high school,
Oh well, like
In general.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they weren't as strict with, I guess, me. I don't know. I feel like they weren't strict with. I mean, they were strict, right? But like, they weren't like always like nagging at you, right? Like,
Mm.
do this, do this. It
Mhm.
was like, do this or do this. Here's the consequences for this, consequences for that. Take your pick. But it wasn't like always in your ear, like, I told you so. You should have did this.
Like
and,
repeating themselves
yeah.
over and over.
I think it was like for them, it was like, well, if they don't listen, we told them, right? We gave them the decisions and the consequences, and
Right.
they can choose for themselves. I think growing up, I was never really forced to do anything. But that comes with consequences, right? If you don't listen,
If you don't listen, you get
yeah,
hit. But
those
if
are
you
consequences, but
listen.
I don't think there was any force or like nagging at you to do something. So maybe that's where my decisions came to just not be in Texas anymore.
What was after that? After the 6-month stunt.
Hiatus.
Then I moved back here to St. George.
Who was living here in St. George?
Yeah.
Grandpa and grandma at that time.
Oh.
Yep. So they had moved back from Texas.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then Uncle Sing, you guys are still in Texas?
It was actually just Uncle Sini.
Oh.
Because Misi and Whit had moved back because Uncle Misi graduated already.
Oh, whoa. I didn't know that.
But me and Sini were still living out there. Don't ask me why. Everybody left already. There's no reason to be there. But it was our jobs, I think. So yeah, I left Sini out there by himself.
Oh, so
you're like, I wonder why he was so mad at me.
Yeah,
oh, probably because
no,
I ditched him.
I did. It was not a good thing. But he came back to St. George after a couple months. I don't think if I had stayed in Hawaii, I think we would just be stuck in Texas forever. I don't think there would have been any push to move back to St. George. So I don't know. Who knows?
So when you moved back to St. George, how long was it before you met your wife?
Probably about 3 months.
And then you met her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the story about how
really?
you met her?
Yeah, this story kind of sucks.
He said, I'm gonna be honest.
So I was working at Lighthouse, like a graveyard shift, which was right up the street from Grandma's house. And ran into some polys, of course. They're going to come over and say hi. And there was this dude, and he's like, yeah, you should come hang out with us, and we're off tomorrow, whatever. Come grab a drink or whatever. And so I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So he gives me his number, and so the next day I call it, right, and this girl answers, and I'm like, oh, hi, is David there? And she's like, who is this? I said, oh, I'm sorry, do I have the wrong number? And she's like, well, no, this is David's sister. And I'm like, oh, I apologize. This is the number that he gave me to call him because I guess they're having like a party or something. She goes, well, this is my phone. David doesn't have a phone. And I was like, I am so sorry. Is there a number I can reach him on? She's like, just hold on a second. I'll give him the phone. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And so he gets on the phone. I'm like, dude, really? Like, that was awkward. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just my sister. And I'm like, yeah, dude. I was calling this phone thinking it was yours. And now she's telling me you don't have a phone. And he's like, yeah, I don't. He said, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, you should have told me, here's my sister's number. She's going to answer. Just ask for David. Not like having me like, oh, is this David's phone? No, it's not. Well, I'm sorry. He gave it to me and said it was his phone. So I hung up, and then I did the initiating, and I texted. I said, I'm so sorry to call you. David gave me the number, and I didn't know he had a sister, and I don't know, I lied or whatever. Said I didn't know he had a sister and this and that, and she texted back. She's like, it's okay. It's fine. He uses my number or whatever. I said, okay, yeah, that's cool. And I said, do you have a picture? And she sent me a picture, and I said, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, no. And it kind of ended there, like the whole texting or whatever.
Did she sound cute on the phone? That's why you're like, ooh, send a picture.
She did, yeah. And I obviously I knew she was Polly, and so it kind of ended there. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just save your photo to the contact, since I'll be calling David on this phone. I don't know if he's gonna get a phone. And so every time David calls, it's Gail's picture on there, and I'm like, oh, it's probably David. And it was. But so the text messaging kind of ended there, and then I went out to the bar, the only bar here in St. George, and I saw her there. And I walked up and said, hey, you're David's sister, right? Yeah, David's not here with me, but you're David's sister. He's like, oh, yeah, you're the one that called the other day. It's like, yeah, that's me. And I was like, oh, are you here with friends? And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm here with friends. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm here with friends too. And then that encounter ended there as well. And then I met her again at I think it was Applebee's. She was out with her friends, and then I was out with workers. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're here again. Are you following me? Yeah, are you? I kind of made that joke. I said, you must be following me because the bar and then the Applebee's. And she's like, no, I've been living here a lot longer than you have. And I was like, oh, dang. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you have. So I kind of walked back to our table, and I was like, damn, she's freaking rude. And then where we really kind of I guess, caught interest is when I went to church and I saw her there. And I went and bore my testimony on Sunday. And this is her story, I guess. Then she went home, and she was telling her parents about this new kid that moved from Hawaii or whatever, or Texas, that bore his testimony. And she was telling her parents, and her parents, yeah, he's all right. And so that's kind of where we hit it off. And then I asked her to go on a first date. And this is probably the craziest first date that I've ever been on. So I picked her up, and I didn't know that I was picking up her other two cousins that were older than her, right? And so I show up to the house thinking it was just us. But no, her two cousins hopped in the back of the car. Like grown women, right? So now I'm just like, oh, this is gonna suck. I can't do anything. Her aunts are here, or whatever. Because they were like way older, and like they looked mean. And,
Wait, how old are you at this time?
I want to say I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nope. I was like 24, 23, 24. So our first date, and so I didn't plan it, obviously, because we were supposed to go to like Chili's or something, right? No, her aunt said, "Oh no, we're going to Vegas." I did not have these in my plans. Like, I worked the next morning, so I'm just like, and Gail's like, "Yeah, we're going to Vegas, right? Isn't that where we're going?" Like, she's talking to her cousins, and I'm just like, wanted to be cool. I'm like, "Yeah, we're going to Vegas." So we drove to Vegas, and her cousins like had the hookup to like the Planet Hollywood rooftop and everything, and I'm just like, okay. So we park at the Venetian, and we start walking, and like they're all dressed up. Like, I'm in like just a shirt and like pants, like a collar shirt, pants, and whatever. They're like dressed up to go and club. And like, so we get out, we walk, and we go to Planet Hollywood. We go through like this sideway, and the guy is checking us and checking our IDs and everything. And so we get up there, and they handed us, her aunts or cousins handed us coupons and stuff for drinks and, you know, whatever. And I'm like, and so I turned to Gail and I said, "Is this what we're doing? Like, is this what we're doing all night, or what? Are we not going to dinner?" Like, I don't know. Like, I told her, I was like, I mean, it's fun, it's cool. Like, I just didn't know that this was the first date.
The vibes. I didn't know.
Like, I mean, if you're cool with it, like, this is fine. So we're in there, right? And so like, and she's never drank, right? Or maybe she lied, but. And so I'm just like, well, we got these coupons, you know. Should we go to the bar? So we go to the bar, we get drinks, and we start drinking, right? And her cousins are already drinking and going crazy. And so we're just sitting down on one of the tables talking. And I look over, and we're probably in there for about an hour and a half in the Planet Hollywood. And obviously they've been drinking heavily because one of the cousins started climbing up on the wall. So in this club, right, it was like, I want to say it was like camouflage night or something. And so they had all these nets like on the side, and one of the cousins started climbing up it. And like, I'm just like looking around like, do you see this? So Gail runs over there and like is trying to get her down, and so then Gail's like, "We gotta leave. We've got to go." And so we leave that one, and we go over to what was it called? I wanted Treasure Island or whatever. And we go in there to a club, and now they're asking me, and so the cousins are like, "Did you bring your card?" And I was like my bank card? And they're like, "Yeah." I've never really been into a club until that point, right? Like, I didn't know what you're supposed to do. I only drink at restaurants and like a bar at a restaurant, you know. And so they're like, "Okay, yeah, just bring it out." I like, "My card?" I was like, they're like, "Yeah." So I handed the cousin my card, and she hands it to the bartender, goes, "Yeah, just put that one on there." And so I'm like,
no.
"Okay," and I was like, "Did you want food, or what are we doing?" And Gail is like probably halfway gone by now. And so I look down, and I'm like, "Where are your shoes?" She's barefoot on the bar stool at the bar. And she looks down, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I don't know." And I'm like, and so I'm thinking to myself, this is a problem.
This is crazy.
This is going to be a problem. So I'm like, "Well, did you leave it at the other place?" I didn't even notice, because we're walking, right? I didn't even notice. She goes, "No, I had them on, and I took them off because my feet were hurting when we were walking." And I said, "Okay, so where is it then?" She lost her shoes in Vegas. So it's already crazy night, right? And like, we're all drunk. We somehow make our way back to our car, and we stop at McDonald's on the way home. The McDonald's on the strip. We grab food, and then we're driving home. And then I'm driving home with 3 women knocked out in my car. And I'm like I'm not proud to say this, but I drove home. Like, I don't know how we got home. And we got home at like 7 in the morning. And I'm pulling up to her house, and she'll tell you this because she was scared shitless. So we pull up to her house, and her dad is pulling out.
Oh.
And so I literally like make a U-turn and like come back out. And she's like, go, 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 because she didn't want to get caught. So we're driving around like blocks around her house, and like the dad is like following us.
Oh.
Finally, like after like a few minutes, I'm like, okay, he's not following us. Maybe he was just going that way to get out. And he was actually, and then Gail's like, he's probably going to pick up David from work. Because I'm not here, because I'm usually the one that picks him up. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably where. And I'm scared. I am so scared right now because they're all drunk, and it was supposed to be just like a 2-hour date in town, getting something to eat. Just me and her, not me, her, and the whole family. So, so we make our way back around. I drop her off, and then like there was no contact for like a week.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that was bad. I said that was either bad or the parents found out or something. Yeah, because there was no contact for a week. And I finally get a hold of her, and she's like, I can't talk to you anymore. My parents found out. And I said, well, what does it have to do with talking to me? She goes, because they knew that we got home that morning, and like we were gone all night, and like that's disrespectful. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, well, it wasn't my fault. I thought
y'all wanted to go to Vegas.
I thought we were going to frickin' Applebee's, not Applebee's in Vegas. And she's like, yeah, so I can't talk to you anymore. And then like I heard in the background like her mom yelling or something to get off the phone. And I was like, okay. But that was the first date.
That was so crazy.
Crazy first date.
I mean, it's a story.
Because
What brought you guys back together? Like after that?
well, after that, it was just like she kept saying, "Oh, I can't talk to you. My parents don't let me." I kept calling, and kept calling, and kept calling. And then like this rumor went around at church that I was this bad person that she was trying to see. What was it? People were starting to say that I was a druggie, a drug dealer, an alcoholic, and just all sorts of stuff, right? Because people had found out that we were like talking. And so back and forth, right? I kept calling her. She kept saying, well, I can't talk to you. I said, well, then eventually they took her phone away. So you have to know that her parents are very old school.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a guy that they wanted Gail to marry, like a prearranged, right? And this was that guy that started all these rumors about me at church, because he had found out that, oh yeah, I guess, you know, they were sitting down and oh yeah, Gail went on a date with, you know, the Tupe son, you know, that just moved here from Texas, and we heard a lot of bad things about him. So he went and told everybody, oh yeah, he's trying to date Gail, and like he's bad for her and things like that. And so Grandma had actually went and pulled this guy aside at church and said, don't you ever talk about my son like that. You don't even know him. And I kept telling Grandma, it's not worth it. I don't care what people think about me, and could care less what he goes and tells everybody. Who cares? But nope, Grandma made it a point to go up and talk to him. And from that day forward, he didn't say crap about me anymore. But so then they took her phone away after a while. But again, her parents are very old school, and she's the oldest, right? And so in like the Samoan culture, the oldest daughter is supposed to like be taking care of the home and taking care of the parents. And so I think they felt that that I was a distraction to that, because she wasn't doing things at home anymore that she was supposed to, or things like that, being more present at home. And so they took her phone away. So like, then I showed up at her work and I gave her like this flip phone I bought from Walmart.
Wow. He's persistent.
And she's like, what is this? I said, well, they took your phone away. How am I supposed to call you? And she was working at the hotel at the time.
Was she showing interest?
She was. Okay. She goes, I can't talk to you, but I really want to. I was like, okay, well, then talk to me, you know? I mean, there were times where I would go and like park in like a block away from their house, and like she'd sneak out and come sit in the car with me, but like they took her phone away, so it was hard to be like, hey, I'm gonna come by tonight, you know, because she didn't have a phone anymore. And so I knew where she worked, and so I dropped by and I said, hey, is Gail here? Like, yeah, let me go get her. And she comes, she goes, what are you doing here? I'm like, I can't come see you. And she's like, I'm at work though. And I'm like, yeah, I can't come to your house. And so she's like, I know, I'm sorry, they took my phone away, and I don't know, I've been trying to call you, but I can't get a phone. We don't have a house phone. And every time I ask my sisters, like, they're like, well, so you can call him? You know, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I bought her like this Walmart phone, and I gave it to her, and that's how we kept in contact for, I want to say like a month, until they found that and threw that away. After all that, we were coming home somewhere with everyone, and I didn't have a car at the time. So I dropped like everybody off at home, like Lorenzo, Ma, and Grandma, Grandpa, Alcini. And I told them I was going somewhere. Like, I told them I was going to the store or something, and I would be back. But I was actually going to see Gail. And it was like 9:00 at night, right? And I took Uncle Stingy's expedition at the time. And right coming down from in Hurricane, where you go up that hill and you come back down into town, I get pulled over for speeding. And I'm like, man, this sucks. So the sheriff comes out. He's like, driver's license, registrations. I gave him all that, right? And I don't know if you guys ever experienced it, or I'm sure your fathers have. But when that second police car pulls up, you're definitely going to jail. So as soon as that second cop car pulls out, I'm like, damn, what did I do? Anyways, I had a warrant out for my arrest. I had no idea. Had no freaking idea. And it had been like from parking tickets from when I parked up like in downtown Salt Lake, and like where the meters expire or whatever. I was up there for something, and it had been like a year had passed by. I had no idea. And so they're like, yeah, so they're like, sir, so you have a warrant out for your arrest. I'm like, what? For what? They're like, well, explain to that. And so this was the first time I like encountered the police like that way, right? Like, we're gonna have you step out of the vehicle. We are gonna have to take you in. We're gonna have to tow the car. And in my mind, I'm like, it's not my car. It's the only family car we have. Like, you can't. Like, I knew already, like, it was bad. Because it was the only family car at the time. And now it's getting impounded. And so all that going through my head, and like trying to listen to the police officer, they put me in cuffs. They put me back in the car, and I had left my phone in the car.
Oh, you don't know the number.
I have no idea numbers.
No.
So they take me in, and like, I'm not even thinking about Gail at this time, because I'm like, we have bigger issues right now. Like, I'm in jail. And the only number that I could remember was one of my friends, Casey. So I had called him with my one call that I got to call Sini, because he wouldn't have known Grandma's number. He only knew Sini's number because we all worked together in Texas. So Sini knew him. So he called Sini to tell Sini them that I'm in jail.
Shout out to you, Casey, if you're listening.
And so I I want to say for the first time in my life, I was scared shitless because
Wow.
the family car had just been impounded. So now the family doesn't have a car. And it was a Friday, and we couldn't get the car out until Monday. And so I called and I said, or they got it figured out, and then Grandma shows up to pick me up. And it was the quietest ride home.
I mean, it'd be different if you knew what you were going to jail for.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was
if it was something serious.
Yeah, like I had no freaking idea. I didn't even know you could have a warrant out for speeding tickets
Yeah.
that you paid for. But I was like, this was like a year ago. And of course, when we get everything out on Monday and I grab my phone and I charge it and I have all these text messages from Gail. Like, are you here? How far out are you? Are you 10 minutes away? Are you almost here? I'm going to bed. Where are you? Are you still coming? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. She was waiting for me.
Wow, I bet the church loved that.
Oh.
And he went to jail?
Oh
He's
no.
the
Oh
worst.
yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, I already knew it.
you.
I already knew it. I already knew it. And so like she was mad at me for like a little bit because she was like, dude, I was waiting up for you. Texted you, no text, said, well, I have a story for you. And you're probably not going to believe it. And I was like, but if you just go on the bookings, you'll know I'm telling the truth. Because she did. I said, just go look up the bookings on the Washington County bookings, and you will figure out why I didn't make it or
there.
text you back. So she goes on there. She goes, oh my gosh, why are you smiling?
This is not
I'm like,
funny.
so you're going to take a look at my picture and notice I was smiling? Like, who does that? And she's like, for what? I said, I had no idea at that time, but I guess it was from parking tickets when I parked up in Salt Lake downtown, and they take that serious, I guess. And she's like, oh my gosh. And so that was the first thing she actually said to me was like, great, the word's going to be all over this. You are a drug dealer.
It's not funny, but that's very funny.
No, like when I look back, we look back on it all the time, and like she's like, you remember that time where like everybody was like passing your mugshot around? And then I said, I don't care. I was smiling. She's like, I know, because I told you that. I said, who smiles in their mugshot? I said, me, because it was my first experience and had no idea I was going in or what for. And yeah, so it was kind of like for the next 2 weeks, it was kind of like I didn't care if I showed my face, but it was like when I saw like people that were in the ward, I was like, ugh, jeez.
Turn the other way.
No, like or just say it to me. Just say it to my face.
yeah.
Like, you don't need to whisper behind your car or like
Yeah.
behind the next aisle. Just come and ask me, and I'll tell you. Like, it wasn't for anything that you guys were already spreading rumors about, so I don't care.
All right.
So yeah, after that, there was more phone calls and talks and things and more outings and dinners, but that's kind of how I got to know Gail. So at this time, her family still was not very pleasant about me. So so then it gets more interesting when we get into the marital parts.
I was just about to ask you, how long was it into talking and stuff that you knew that like you wanted to ask her to marry you, that she was going to be
7 months.
Whoa.
7 months was when you asked her or when you knew?
When I asked her.
Oh,
That's crazy.
And I don't know if you know, but you may know. When I moved here from Hawaii, or when I moved here back the last time, I was dating someone in Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
Very, very like
Oh yeah.
very, very close to like being in her family. But so when I came here, like that.
Wait, hold on. We can cut this. Who? Oh, I remember. Okay. We're back.
We're all the same.
And I had told Gail this before, like we got kind of serious. and I told her that I kind of got out of a serious one in Hawaii. But yeah, so she kind of knew everything about that, and then when we started getting serious, I kind of told her everything, and that's kind of when she broke it to me that she had a 2-year-old son.
How did that go?
Oh,
Is this like okay to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like how did you feel about that?
I didn't feel any different. Like because our family, we have a ton of kids in our family, so it wasn't anything like, oh my God, she has kids, I can't deal with it. Like
I've been raising kids.
like if you can deal with the Tupe kids, like you can deal with any kid. But he was 2 at the time, and like this white little boy.
Cutest
And
white
so
boy.
yeah, like after like 6 months, she like introduced me to him. I was like, hey, what's up? And didn't change anything about me or change anything towards Gail either. And she talked about her, her past relationships and stuff, and but yeah, and that's when she told me, and she's like, I get it if that like scares you or anything. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Were you shocked when you met him and he was like fluent in Samoan?
Yeah,
or were you kind of expecting it?
No, I was kind of expecting it, but not really, because like I was also expecting him to be like Samoan,
right?
So when I first, he is. But when I first, when I first met him, I was like, oh, so your ex was white.
You can't tell me anything about my ex. Yeah. Your ex was white.
So, but no, when I met him, like it just, there was no awkwardness. It just felt, it is what it is. But then she also stated that she doesn't have custody over him. Mm-hmm. Her parents does, and so I was like, oh, okay, so her son, but she's not actually raising him or whatever. So, but no, she told me that, and so I felt like there was a lot of honesty at the very beginning about like, here's my past, what's your past? Okay, I don't have a kid, but you do. So you're worse than me.
Hot take.
Hot take.
But no, and so it kind of all came together. I don't know if you guys are gonna ask me this, but the proposal.
Yeah. Yes. Of course.
So just like me not having a graduation, walking down the graduation, whatever, there was no proposal. I kind of showed up to her work one day and I said, we're getting married.
Oh, what did she say?
And she's like, what do you mean? I said, I want to get married. She goes, right now?
I could just picture Auntie
and like, I want to say like everybody had to go to Salt Lake for something, and nobody knew that I was planning to get married. And so I like waited till last minute until like mom or grandma and grandpa and like everybody was in the car, right? They were going to Salt Lake for something, and with Renzo and everything. I want to say it was one of Renzo's football games, but I couldn't remember, and I wasn't going. And so everybody's sitting in the car, and I said, guys, I have something to say. And they're all like, okay. And I said, I'm asking Gil to marry me. And grandma goes, that girl from church? The Tauti's daughter? And I said, yes. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I am. And grandpa didn't really say much. He's just like, oh, well, we love you. And that was kind of it. They kind of drove off, and like, and I remember grandma saying like, did you ask her parents? I said, yeah, we'll ask them. And they kind of drove off, right? And then they left like early morning. So like the afternoon, I got dressed like in a button-up shirt and like slacks and everything. I look good. I show up at the what do you call it, at the hotel, and I said, let's go get married. She goes, what are you talking about, right now? She goes, yeah, because as soon as you go home, you're not gonna be able to come back out. And yes, I bought a ring from Walmart when they still had like the jewelry thing at Walmart. the glass cases. So I bought one from there and I said, I have the ring and everything. Let's just go. She goes, you're kidding me. I said, does it look like I'm kidding you? I'm freaking dressed up. And she's like, did your family know? I said, yep, they know, but they're on their way to Salt Lake. So they won't be there. She's like, I don't know. I said, so you don't want to be with me then? She goes,
So it's over.
Yeah. She goes, no.
So we're breaking up.
She goes, no, that's not what I mean. I said, like right now? Like today? I said, yeah. And I think, so the biggest reason why it was like, for her was right now, like today, was because her dad was in Samoa at the time.
Oh.
And so there was a lot of like, obviously things going through her head, because we all, you know, I think most daughters and girls want their father to be there, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So she goes, okay, well, I get off in an hour. I'll think about it. So I waited there in the parking lot for an hour.
1 hour?
In my car. So she gets off, she gets in the car, and we start driving to the courthouse right here in Washington. We park right up front on the side of the road. And I said, Kate, let's go. And she's still sitting there in the car. And she's in like her work clothes, right?
I would say no. I'm like, I have to change.
And so I get up to the car and I'm like, come on, let's go. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. I said, we did this at the hotel already.
I'm getting so irritated.
I know. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I get back in the car and I'm like, what's the reason? Like, you know, like, do you not want to do this? She's like, no, I do. I said, okay, let's go then. Like, I took the day off.
Up.
Yeah, I took the day off to do this. And so she gets out, right? We're walking like up the stairs, and then she like stops and she's like, oh, I don't know. Like, just like that, she goes, I don't know. I said, what do you not know about? Like, I'm getting frustrated now. So I look like an idiot in like my button-up shirt, like taking the day off, telling my parents who are driving to Salt Lake, and they gave me their blessing, and now she doesn't want to do it. So finally I talk her into doing it, and she'll tell you, man, it was, for her, I think it was the scariest day, because like nobody knew. So we walk in, they're like, well, yeah. I was like, we're here to get our marriage license. And so we do all the paperwork, and she's like, so do you guys want to get married now? And I was like, yeah, let's do it now. And she goes, okay, well, we just have a little, they have like a conference room, right? It's like, yeah, we have someone here who can do it legally, and then we can sign all the paperwork. I said, yep, let's do it. And Gil over there still like, I don't even know if I want to do this. Like, I'm doing all the talking. The clerks there are probably like, they are forcing this marriage. He is forcing this marriage. Because she's just staying quiet, like not excited at all. Like the clerk was like, are you excited? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, we are so excited. And she like, I'm nervous now because like, I don't know, watching those TV shows where
you're like, this looks suspicious.
Yeah, like I'm almost thinking like the clerk's gonna be like, ma'am, are you okay?
Like, I promise she wants this.
Will you give us like I'm waiting for the moment where like a police officer comes in and goes, sir, will you give us a moment? You know, like, ma'am, is everything okay? Are you being abducted? Like, yeah. So finally, like, she's like, all right, just follow us down this way. And the guy that's doing it is like, do you guys have witnesses? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Do we need witnesses? And like, yeah, we need at least 2. And it's like, well, we don't have anybody here. So we all kind of just stood there. And the guy goes, well, there's 2 clerks up there. They can witness. I'm like, perfect. So the 2 clerks come down. They do the whole thing. They sign the papers and everything. Because if you look at our marriage license now, I have no idea who those people are. But they witnessed it. So we do it. We do it all. Everything's done, and like we get in the car and we're like, what now? She's like, well, I gotta go home.
You just drop her off at home and then go.
So I was like, okay. So I'm like cocky now, right? Because I'm like, it's done. They can't do anything. What are they gonna do?
Married.
Yeah, we're married legally. So I'm like being cocky, right? Like, oh, yeah, everything's fine. I'm happy. We pull up to her house and she is like scared to death because her family has no idea. Not even
Yeah.
a single,
Right.
like.
Oh
so,
yeah, because you visit her at work.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I drop her off and said, well, I mean, just go tell them because I mean they can't really do anything. I mean it's legal. I don't know what else they're gonna do. So she goes in and I sat in the car.
Wow. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I sat in the car because I'm like, man, they hate me, so why would I go in there?
I'll be here.
Yeah, it's just
You tell them, let me know.
yeah, I said just let me know.
I'll be your getaway driver.
When you run out and screaming, I know something happened. So, and you'll get like the details from her because I don't know what happened inside. But so she walks out like after an hour. She's like, and I'm in my head. I'm like, should I or should I not? But I'm like, she would never come out here and get me if it was like bad, like right. She would like walk out here and be like, yeah, let's go. Maybe we'll come back next time and you can talk to him. So, but she came and she goes, come on. And I was like, I was super nervous going in because David was there. And like he knew like we were talking and stuff, but didn't really know how serious it was. And
was her whole family except for the dad there?
Yeah, all her sisters were there. One of her sisters was on a mission, I think, and so she wasn't there. But everybody else that was there that could kill me was there. So I walk in, I'm nervous, right? The door's open. And I was always scared of Gail's mom, like even before like I knew Gail, like she just at church or whatever, just seeing her out in public, I was kind of scared. But I think walking in to their house, that really scared me because she was literally sitting like you come into the walkway and then like you see her sitting at the couch. So I just walked in because like to me like it's already done, right? It's just like I just got to sit through this lecture or whatever is going to be done, and hopefully it's a positive one, and then we're in the clear, right? Like everything's done. So I go in and like they're just all crying, right? Because obviously Gail broke the news, and
tears of joy, or
it was both. And so I go in there and she's talking in Samoan and kind of saying like, well, kind of what I was saying from the whole time is like, she's like, there's really nothing we can do. I mean, you guys went out, obviously you're in love, got married without anybody knowing. She's like, it's definitely not what I pictured my daughters to have as a wedding or as a path of getting married. But obviously she's okay with it, and obviously you guys both agreed to go do it, and there's nothing we can do. She's like, the only thing that I'm disappointed about, and she's like, not so much you, but so much for Gail, because her father's not here. And now her father doesn't know, but we have to call him and break the news to him. And he was the one that didn't like approve of you at all, not even 1%. And so the phone call is probably going to be very, very negative because not 1% of him liked you. And now there's a legal thing that it's legal. You're married. Like there's nothing we can do about it. So we're glad that you guys made that decision, but we're disappointed that this is the way it happened. And so I kind of just explained like, well, it happened this way because I was never allowed to like pursue her, or I was never allowed to like be part of this family just dating her. And so this is kind of my first like conversation I'm even having, and it does suck to have the first conversations being just, we're married legally and there's nothing you can do about it. And after that, it was, everybody kind of understood where me and Gail were coming from. I understood where they were coming from, as as far as, and I get it, nobody wants to see their daughter getting married off like that, right? But it was two grown adults making the decision to do it. And after that, we all got in the car and went to Mesquite.
The same day?
To celebrate, yeah.
Wow.
And so it was funny because we were going and I thought we were riding alone. And she's like, can we pick up the cousins? I'm like, oh, yeah, the ones that got us in trouble? Sure. So we picked them up and went with Gail's whole family to Mesquite and we had dinner down there.
Whoa.
So then how did you tell our family?
I don't know. I think everybody else did that. Told everybody.
We're in Mesquite and your son is married.
Yeah. Yeah, we I don't know, I think Grandma and them may have said something when they went up to see everybody. But it was a week after that where Grandma and Grandpa kind of came up to me and said, hey, we know you're already married, but we want to have like a little reception.
Yeah.
And like me and Gail didn't want one. Like Gail's like, I'm old, I have a son, and like I do not
She's
want,
like 24,
yeah,
23.
I don't want a wedding. Like we're already married. I don't want a reception. Like I don't want one. And I told everybody the same thing. I don't want one. But they did it anyway. Like they're like, well, you don't have to do anything. I said, I know, but I don't want it.
It doesn't matter if
Yeah,
I do
like,
it.
I don't want it. Like I've never been the type to want a big wedding. But that's different for girls, right? And so, but Gail never wanted one either. So
Okay, from when you got married to your reception, you said
it was like a week.
A week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay. Was her dad back at that time?
No.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't due to come back for a while.
Oh, okay.
And so they planned it all. Uncle Sini had a lot to do with it. And so, like I said, like I don't know about you guys, but when you do something like you didn't want to do, you're not really like there. Like you're there because they wanted to do it. I didn't want one. So like the whole time there, I was just trying to like get through it. And I think Gail was the same way. Like, let's just get through this night. Like, let's just smile at everybody, make everybody happy, and let's just get it over with. Because, like, I didn't want it. Gail didn't want it. But there were so many people there that I didn't know. And, like, so many people that, like, I could care less if they were there. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, it was like, both of our families wasted so much money on people we don't even know. And didn't even bring a gift. You know, like
just came for the food.
Yeah, just came for the food. Like that, and that's the reason why I didn't want to do it, because we were in St. George surrounded by Polynesians who I already had experiences with, who just show up to eat, you know? And I knew exactly that's what was gonna happen, and that's why I didn't want one. But to just please Gail's parents and my parents, it was like, okay, yeah, I'll let you guys do it. Halfway through the night, like I just thought it was funny, like Gail's mom started taking the food and like putting it away. And half of the people hadn't even eaten yet. So the whole time and then they left. Her family left halfway through the wedding with all the food. And then after it was done, it was just me, Gail, and like our family cleaning up. You know, and I was like, this is so nice. Like, I've been to so many weddings where like the bride and groom leave and like don't have to clean or do anything.
I did that.
Like me and Gail had to make sure the lights and the doors were locked. That's how we left. And then someone took our real car and left us the red Saturn as our car to get home. And had like all these things on it, like they decorated it, but I was like, where's my car? We were the last one to the chapel, didn't know where my car was, and then I called somebody and said, oh yeah, check in your coat pocket, we left the key for the red Saturn. I said, oh perfect, that's the car we're taking home? Perfect, I love this. This is so awesome, guys. Like, I didn't want this at all. And then the food's gone halfway through the thing. Like, someone took it. And then and someone took my car. And we stayed and cleaned. I love it. Like, is this a joke? Like, is this a prank? Because I've been to weddings where we're the first ones to leave. But that was our wedding and our reception. And like I don't regret anything from it. Like it is what it is, but like it's definitely not something that you like had in mind, right? For a wedding or a proposal or a wedding, getting married.
What drew you to her? What qualities did she have, or what was so alluring?
I want to say like her eyes, and just like she just looked very independent, like she can handle her own.
Oh.
So like yeah, that's what drew me to her, and then just like talking, she just had kind of the same interests and things like that. But yeah, she just looked like she would be someone that could like be a part of me, but like still hold her own and be independent. So like yeah.
Did you guys talk about kids like before? Like how many kids you wanted?
I only wanted 3.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
So were you
So we surpassed that.
well, almost double.
Well over. Did you guys talk about like parenting them and like what you guys wanted when it came to parenting
Or are you just
styles? Or like
winging
did you
it?
guys just like go in and not like
No, I think we talked about like not being your, I don't know, your typical parent, I guess, where they're always. I think a lot of parents don't really let their kids be themselves, I guess. I think a lot of parents try to mold their kids into like what I could have been. You know what I mean? Like here's my dreams. I couldn't do it, so I wonder if my kids could do it.
Right.
And so I think we always felt like do whatever the hell they want, you know. And if we can support them, we'll support them and we'll be there. But you know, like I just feel like growing up, I saw so many of my friends just being forced to do things that they didn't want to do,
Right.
or go down a path where it's like that's not what I wanted to do, but that's what my parents wanted me to do, so that's why I'm here. And then 30 years down the road, they're like, yeah, I didn't want to do this. And even with her coming from a strict family where I feel like a lot of their decisions were made by their parents, I think she felt like, no, I'm not going to treat my kids that way. I think I'm going to treat my kids to where like, you know, let them do what they want. And obviously we still have to be parents and be like, no, we don't want you to do that because it's dangerous. But I think supporting their dreams more than just saying, well, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to do this. And having it be like, well, Dad, that's your dream. I don't want that.
in all the movies.
Yeah, like, and so that we kind of talked about that where it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna raise them to the best that we can and give them what they need. So
do you remember the moment that you found out that you were going to be a dad? Well,
for the
Braxton. Do you remember?
Yeah,
Was he
I don't know.
planned or a surprise?
Surprised, I guess. It wasn't planned. Like we weren't planning to have kids just yet, but I think when I found out, it was like, for me, it was like, you're shitting me. This isn't real. Because, like, I've never experienced that before, right? Like, she already has, right? Like, she already had a kid. And so, like, I think for her, it wasn't, like, that surprising. Like, I'm pregnant again, you know? But for me, it was like, what? You're kidding me, right? This can't be real. I was definitely like excited, but like at the same time, like I don't know what to do.
Right.
So, like I don't know. I didn't picture myself being a father so quick. And so when we found out, it was like, holy crap, we're gonna have a kid, or I'm gonna have a kid. Like a little me running around. And so that was weird for me to be, I guess, be responsible now for somebody else's life.
Did she like just come out and say it, or did like she do it in like a special way?
No, she kind of just, she's like, well, my cycle's off, and I was like, and what does that mean? You know, and I'm just like, so you're sick? You know, like I don't know. And no, then she's like, well, I don't know, I might be pregnant. I'm like, oh, okay.
So you're sick.
And she's like, yeah, we'll just figure it out. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. So
I mean, you did grow up with like all brothers.
yeah, so
So
I don't know
Yeah,
anything, you know.
true.
So I'm like,
True.
so that's why I was
Okay,
like, oh, so I don't know. Do you need to go to the doctor? Like, are you sick? I don't know what that means. And she's like, no, I may be pregnant. I'm like, really? And then I think I came home from work one day and she's like, you have to see something. And I was like, oh, great. What? She's like, well, it's right over here. So she pulls it out of a drawer and she goes, and I'm like, okay, is that your temperature? I don't know. She's like, no, look. And I was like, yeah, what does that mean? She goes, we're having a baby. And I'm like, huh? She's like, you're going to be a dad. I was like, no, you're kidding me. She goes, nope. That's why my cycle is off. And I was like, ew. Well, do you want to check again? So she did, like, the next day. She, like, because I'm, you know, like, say she went and bought another one. She's like, yep, it's the same thing. I was like, so you are. And so I was excited. Like, I was like, this is happening.
Who did you tell first?
I think I told Grandma first.
What did she say?
She was like,
No way.
no way. She was like, what? Are you sure? Like, I'm pretty sure. She bought like 4 of those things to check.
She's stoked. Grandma's so stoked.
Yeah, she was like, oh my God. Yeah, she was happy.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No.
No, because I don't, because I was just thinking this thing like, I don't know, like 2 years ago. Because I was a father, I was thinking the same thing, like, and I guess you could call it like a wish come true or whatever. I was like, I hope like Grandma's still around when Lorenzo has a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about that like 2 years ago. Or maybe like when Grandma was really sick.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I hope she gets to see Lorenzo's kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she did. So, but I think that was the biggest thing for me is having, well, even Grandpa was here for Braxton. Mm-hmm. But having like your parents see your kids, I think that was my biggest thing. Even though I have 3 other kids that didn't meet their grandpa, but at least Braxton did. Mm-hmm. So,
what was it like when you found out that he was a boy?
I was stoked.
You're like, I know how to deal with boys.
Yeah, I was stoked because like
you're like, haha, me see
yeah,
I had a boy.
Because I don't like like what you guys were saying. Like I grew up with all boys, and so it was like,
yeah,
if I had I can't imagine what Lorenzo goes through right now. Like, I mean, he's not even to the stages where it's like really bad. You know what I mean? Like,
just wait.
But I think having Braxton first was like, I was stoked. Mm-hmm. For her, like she already had a boy, so it was like she really wanted a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember like each kid, like how she told you, like how you found out about each kid?
I want to say every other one after that, like we kind of planned it, and it was like when she told me, it was like, oh yes, great, mm-hmm. You know. But I think your first one is where you're like the most excited, mm-hmm. because that's when you become a parent. Mm-hmm. But like with Levi, it was actually exciting for Levi too, because it was like, yes, Braxton gets a brother. Mm-hmm. We were so anxious. I think I was, and I think she was, to just have Levi already, that we actually had gone and bought some castor oil, and to go drink it to go into labor faster.
Oh, castor oil. Oh my gosh.
We were looking up stuff to like we were looking things, and that's why I think Levi is crazy. That's what me and Gail have come to a conclusion. Is like, because we sit back at night and we're like,
we talk about this.
Yeah, we sit back and we just watch Levi and we're just like, is it maybe that castor oil that you drink? I don't know, because you drink a lot of it. And you went into labor like 20 minutes after.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but that's like something special with Levi. We always joke around. We're like, man. Then Brooks came around, and we were in Moroni. Through all of Brooks's pregnancy, Gail did not go see a doctor at all.
Oh my gosh.
And so we had come down here for Gail's sister's son's first birthday party, and didn't even make it to it because we went straight to the hospital here to have Brooks.
What? They have a hospital out there. Like,
I know, no, I know, but like she just never cared to go, I guess.
where were you, or like, how did you react when you found out that you were gonna have a girl?
So with Brinkley, we didn't find out the gender until she was born.
Oh, I love that. I want to do that so
That's
bad.
so nerve-wracking.
It was. So we go in.
But how did you know? Like,
I didn't.
that's so crazy. But she's your only girl.
And that's the thing
You
is,
didn't
and that's
know.
the thing. I was like, frig, it better not be another boy. And so we made a decision to just wait it out because it's like, man, if it's a boy, then whatever. So we waited it out. And so
did you pick out a name already or no?
So we picked out 2 names already. We had Brinkley, and I don't remember what the other one that we had was for the boy. But yeah, she was in labor, and when she came out, she's like, "Oh, it's a girl," and I was like, "Yes!" I screamed. The nurses were like, "Oh, were you not? Did you not know?" Or like, "No, we didn't want to know." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations!" And so Gail was most excited because she has wanted a girl, because she had her own son and then 3 more boys, and so she's like, man, this
She's
sucks.
like, okay.
If we get another boy, it's gonna suck. So yeah, we didn't find out until she was in labor, and so that was fun.
Now what about Dre Dre?
Dre was kind of a last minute, to be honest. We were in talks with the mother for about 6 months leading up to it, and then we kind of told her, okay, well, we kind of need a definite answer because we're going up to my brother's wedding, and so we're going to be gone for about a week. And so she kind of, like a month leading up to that, she's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna keep him. And so while we were up at Lorenzo's wedding, we get a phone call saying that she's probably going to be going into the hospital in probably a week or in a couple of days. And Gail was talking to her, and I was like, why is she calling us? And Gail's like, well, she changed her mind. And I was like, oh, great, that's just perfect timing. So we weren't planning on it. Like, it was kind of like she called us the week before she went into labor, and we had just got done with Lorenzo's wedding, and we were heading back, and we already kind of decided, right? And so, and I don't know, and I think being adopted kind of made it easier for, I want to say for me to be like, yeah, let's do it. Mm-hmm. I think for Gail, it was more like, because it's still kind of in her family, she felt obligated to. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was like, hey, I was in that situation, and so, and I not to say that he was going to be in a less better environment, right, if we didn't take him, but when the opportunity came, like, we were all yes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know, because it sucks nowadays when people want to adopt, the state makes you go through so many hoops, and like, you have to do this, you have to make this much, you have to have a house, and this and that, and it's like there's millions of kids that want a home, but you're gonna have all these restrictions. Like they have all these commercials, adopt today, and then they make it so hard. Yeah. And so but that's how we came to the decision. And of course, like, all of our kids were a little bit older anyway, so it was like, we weren't gonna have like 2 infants in the home or whatever. But yeah, he was born on Valentine's.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So So his name is DeAndre Valentine. His middle name is Valentine. I don't know where we came up with the name DeAndre. I think Gail came up with it. I'm the one that put Valentine. I was like, he's born on Valentine. Just make it middle name Valentine. But yeah, she had called us when she was on her way into the hospital. Told us to meet her there. Gail had we had our own room. When she gave birth, they brought the baby straight into our room. And Gail kind of went through the whole treatment to where as if she was the one that was there the whole time.
Oh.
So yeah, it was weird. I've never been in that kind of situation.
Like skin to skin contact.
Yeah. So like we first got there, they're like, okay, Gail, you got to get dressed and get on the bed, and baby's almost here. And I'm just like, this is weird. Like it was a weird thing, but it was definitely like a moment where like an experience, I guess you can say. It was a good experience because they brought the baby in the cart still, and like, you know, they were still wiping the baby and everything, and like, okay, here comes baby. They put him on Gil, and then they kind of treated Gil like she was the one that just had the baby.
That's crazy.
They had all the wristbands on her and everything, and that matched the baby. And, they had her own set of nurses and everything, and so we stayed overnight there until all the stuff was done, and then we left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you took Dre home
Mm-hmm.
that day after?
Yep, from the hospital.
That's crazy.
Are you gonna talk to your kids about like your adoption story? Have you?
I haven't, because it hasn't come up. Like, I mean, I'm sure I will at some point, but I mean, unless they want to know, like, I'm not gonna be like, well, here's what happened. You know?
Right.
Like, if they want to know, then I'll tell them. But with Dre's situation, they kind of already know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, funny story. We were at the mall, and we had just happened to run into Dre's biological mother, and I don't know who said it, but I want to say it was Braxton. Yeah, oh, we're giving the baby back. And Levi's like, so we come back to the car, like we talked and everything. We come back to the car, and Levi goes, "Well, how come we didn't give the baby back?" And I said, "Levi, what do you mean?" "Well, you said Braxton said we're here to give the baby back." I said, "No, Levi, he's ours. He's your brother." "I know, but Braxton said we're giving him back."
Oh, Braxton, that little shit. Oh
yeah,
my God.
and so like they all understand, and I think it's important that they understand.
Yeah.
But I have had Braxton like ask me, like when they come into my words, like, Joseph. Who's Joseph? Dad, you're Joseph? You know? And like it's so annoying, right? But like he doesn't really ask, like,
Yeah.
Like why?
Why? You know, he's just like, why is your name Joseph at work?
What have your children taught you about yourself?
That I'm very impatient. I feel like I was patient when I was like alone.
A bachelor.
Yeah, but now it's just like the early years I've been so impatient. Now I'm learning more now to be more patient, but like they've also brought a lot of responsibility out of me. Like I feel like, and I think it's for me and Gail, I feel like we don't do anything for ourselves anymore. I think we do most of it for them. Like no matter how hard it is, like I don't care, just do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like even down to our last dollar, we're like, just get them the goddamn chips. You know what I mean? Like we've just been so not greedy anymore. Like I feel like everything we do now is like to make sure that they are taken care of or they get what they need. And I hope someday they will realize that their parents spent every last dollar on what they wanted.
What are some of your favorite stories about your kids? Like, do you have like specific stories that are so funny? Like the one that you just said of Braxton, like saying, "Oh, give him back," or "Here, give him back." Was there like
we were sitting we were sitting outside of the chapel, and this was just recent actually, and Levi goes, "Oh, Grandma, it's our turn. The white people are out." And I'm just like, and he said it loud, right? And like, of course, no one's gonna say anything because it's this little kid, right? And of course, Grandma's over like, Levi, and I'm over there trying to like hold my composure because like it's funny to me. It may not be funny to other people, but like it's coming out of a 6-year-old mouth, right? You know what I mean? So it's just innocent, and so like.
I mean, he's not wrong.
And he's not, and that's why I'm like, you're right, buddy. You're right. The white people are done, and with the brown ones, it's our turn. With Brinkley, like, I don't know. Like, people tell me it's because of me, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this with her, where like she'll just stand there, and then her hands would just go like this, and I'm just like, and like she's in her own zone, right? And then when you look at her, then she just stops, and I'm just like, who? And it's funny because the other night I was waking Braxton up. He was sleeping on the couch, and Gil and Uncle Sidney were like, "That's where she gets it from." I guess I was doing this, waking up Braxton, and I'm like, "There's no way." I didn't even notice I was doing it, but I was doing Braxton, get up. And they just started laughing because they couldn't figure out for the longest time why Brinkley does it, and so. They found out. I guess it's from me.
Oh, that's so
and with Brooks, it's just he just has it's a 0 to 60 in 1 second.
true.
And he'll be waiting. Like we'll say, okay, we're going, and then he's ready to go. Like there's no like, hold on, we gotta wait for someone else. Like if you tell him that, it's 0 to 60. And like going through walls. And so anything that's broken at home, it's from Brooks. Those are like the little things that they do that like, I don't know, that drive me up the wall, but like also love it because it's never a dull moment when you're a parent. So you just have to like be ready for anything.
What life lessons do you hope that your kids take away from like you and Etiquette?
Being grateful. I think there's a lot to be grateful for. There's a lot to, especially with the world we live in, there's so much that could happen. There's so much that could overtake and overcome and just destroy everything, right, in your whole life. But I think being grateful for like those things that support you, and then those people that support you and keep pushing you, and because you're gonna fail, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna fail, you're gonna feel like no one's gonna help you, but just be grateful. Like me and Gail talk about this all the time. Like we've been struggling the last year or so, but I always tell her it could be worse. As much as we think we have it bad, we don't. So we have to be grateful for what we have, even if it's a little bit. So I hope that's one of the things they take, and then another thing is just to just be close to your family, I guess. Because with everything happening, I think that's the only thing that's going to keep you going is your family. Everywhere else, you can be replaceable, I think.
Right. Work.
In your groups that you're involved in, friends, work, you're replaceable, and they can do it within seconds. If you don't have a family, then you're not going to make it. I promise you that. So those two things, keeping your family close and just being grateful with no matter what you have.
I like those. I think those are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back on your life, what advice would you give your younger self?
To be patient and not rush everything in life. I think when I was younger, I was like, I just want to be an adult. I just want to do adult things. I want to not listen to anybody. I want to be making my own choices. I want to do things the way I want, but don't rush everything.
How do you want your loved ones to remember you?
Me and Dorian came to the conclusion that we pretty much take our shirt off our back for anybody.
Right.
And no matter, and we kind of went deep into like, no matter what struggles that we're going through, like we always put others first.
Mm-hmm.
And both of you know Uncle Dorian does. He's been doing that for as long as I know. And so that's kind of what I would want to be remembered for, is just he was always there no matter what the circumstances were.
What are a few things that you want to do before you leave this life?
I definitely want to go on a vacation. And me and Gail talk about this all the time. I feel like it's like, when was the last time we went on vacation? 2011, before we had kids. And so I would definitely want to go take my kids and my family on a vacation, like a real vacation where like we're not in contact with the world.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, just being on vacation, not going on vacation, being on vacation. Because going and being is a different thing. I don't know if this is something I want to do before I die, but I definitely would want to like just meet up with my biological mother, just to kind of get her side of like, hey, what were you going through? And you know, she's obviously given up 4 of her kids, but like she still has the other, I think, 4. And so like, I don't know, just kind of ask her like, what made you decide that? You know, I don't have any, you know, resentment over it or anything, but I just want to know.
You want to know?
You know. And then I would say skydiving.
Really?
Whoa.
But I'm scared to death.
Wow.
Like it would have to be like, if I knew I was dying tomorrow, then I would just go do it.
What?
You know, kind of thing. I don't think I could do it. But yeah,
Because like, I want to do that before I die, but right before I die.
Like I don't think I could like plan it and be like, hey, we're going skydiving. It would have to be like, okay, sir, you have 24 hours to live.
What if somebody just like sprung it on you, like you didn't know what you were going to do? And they just like,
I don't know.
Would you be able to do it?
I don't know. But that's something I would want to do, and then
what is something that you want to see from like our generation that you hope to see like in the near future?
I think just, I don't know. I think just keeping that close knit with. I keep going back to family, right? Because I think that's
an integral part.
That's like
of how we all.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's just, some things are just not worth, you know, breaking your relationships over, or being mad at someone for, or whatever. Like we're all in this journey of life trying to figure it out and trying to make it through the life. It is not worth it to be mad at somebody or hold a grudge or whatever. For, you know, I think, and I think for yourself to grow as well, you have to be able to grow and be like, let's just get over this. And the thing that everybody needs the most right now is like someone to help them, right? So that's what I would say I want to see from this generation, is like live life positively, I guess, and because there's a lot of things that aren't worth it.
What brings you the most happiness in your life right now?
I would say, I think the relationship that my kids have with their grandma, because I never thought that my parents would see any of my kids, right? And so that also brings me back how emotional I get when she's able to see Lorenzo's kids. You know what I mean? And so that's a big deal for me, because you guys have all been around grandma. Like all of my siblings' kids have been around grandma and grandpa for the most part. And so I think just seeing that relationship and seeing how they just interact daily, I think brings joy, because like me and Gail will wake up some days and the kids are gone and we're like, where the hell are they? And we call grandma and she's like, oh, they're with me. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Glad they're with you. Because we have no idea where they would be. And they always say like it's their job, right, to like spoil the grandkids or whatever. And I never understood that until I had my own kids. Because I don't know. It's not that I always like got mad, but like when I didn't have kids and like it was Macy's kids, like grandma would do anything for them. And I always got upset for some reason because I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't love me anymore. You know what I mean? And yeah, like what
That's
about,
what I thought you were saying. You were
like-
gonna say about Renzo.
like
But
what?
you're like, no, Paulo, Tolly,
Yeah, like what? Like
everything.
and so like I mean even Lorenzo when he was younger, but like I didn't understand it until like I had my own kids, and then I see grandma doing that, and I'm like, no, she's just that's her calling now in life is to be a grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to stop her from
And she loves
spoiling
it.
the kids or doing everything for them. So I think that's the biggest joy right now in my life.
That's such a good answer. I literally
Yeah.
started crying.
That is a
my
good
eyes
answer.
out.
Well, because it used to be something that annoyed me, right? Like, oh my gosh, grandma's going to do this for them. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But now it's like, now that I have my own kids, it's like, okay. I like that. Take them. Buy them what they want. Because I can't do it. So yeah.
I remember when we were all at Grandma and Grandpa's house after Grandpa died, and we were all sitting there, and Braxton like looked up at the picture. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I always think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's because he got to spend so much time with
Yeah.
her.
Mm-hmm.
I always think about that.
And that's one of the things I talked to Braxton about. I said, because I felt like he was so like in the groove when all that happened. I feel like he's kind of lost that here. Like he's getting older, right? But so Braxton, you have to remember, you out of all your siblings were the only one that got to meet your grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you spent so much time with your grandpa, or he spent so much time with you. That I don't think he realizes how much of a good grandpa that he had. But he will. He will.
Yeah.
It'll come around.
It always comes back.
It always comes back.
Because we would bring up, me and Gil would bring up that Christmas that we had at the, I don't know what they call it.
Oh, the pool house.
The pool house or whatever.
Yeah.
That was, I think, still to this day, my favorite Christmas.
That was.
We didn't even have a tree. It was on a wall. But the lady kept telling us we couldn't sleep there. But what did we do? We all slept there. But yeah, I would say those would be the things that I enjoy right now.
Is there anything that you wanted us to ask you?
No, I think you guys did a pretty good job of covering it all.
Is there anything you wanted to ask us?
Oh yeah.
No, I guess just like how you guys came up with these questions. Because I see there's some that are different for everybody. So
Yeah.
Well, we just like we're curious about everybody's like how they became the people they are.
Yeah.
We want to know like why are you,
Yeah.
how you guys like were raised and how like you guys raised us, and like that's how we are now. We're like not only curious about you guys, but like that leads to like us being curious about ourselves in a way, and like being able to like learn why we are how we are.
Yeah. And it's also like all these questions are what I wish I knew about my dad. Like growing up, like your kids are gonna have this, like to look back at and like to be like, oh my gosh, my dad was so crazy. His proposal story. Let me show you.
Yeah, because none of them know. Like they're too young to like ask those right now.
Yeah.
And so.
And I'm sure like when they get older, they'll ask.
Yeah, they'll ask
also
you.
Get like listen to it too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for all all my siblings, and we had a good life. Like we were raised by good parents, and I can't say that we went without anything. We always got what we needed, and I think we were raised to be good people. So,
Mm-hmm.
And then also, what is something that you want to hear about on the podcast in like later episodes?
Yeah.
You're like asking all the uncles for like requests on what they want to hear about.
I don't know. I think I would want to hear, like, I guess not the younger kids because they haven't really, experienced it, but I would want to hear from like the older grandkids on how they feel about their life so far.